Good evening for everybody who's joined us. If you are not a TIF commissioner, I would ask that you turn your camera off at this time.
Okay, we're trying to figure this out. Okay. Says show stop video, but
Hello, for those who have just joined us, if you are not a TIF commissioner, I would ask that you turn your camera off at this time.
You're the Swamp Thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of.
what does it say?
Oh.
Well, it looks like it is 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Tax Increment Finance Commission on February the 18th, 2021 at 6 o'clock. The number one is approval of the minutes of October the 10th of 2020. Jay?
Or I have an error. I see that Mr. Commissioner Nolte is listed as Jay Nolte. His first name should be Jerry Nolte.
Yeah, we know that.
Yep. And so I would recommend making that change, that amendment.
No problem there.
If there's nothing else, I'll approve the minutes with that amendment.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any more comments? All those approved, say aye.
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 Anybody say nay? Motion carries.
Thank you, Jay.
I didn't want to share my name.
Item number 2 is the TIF Architectural Design Presentation.
Good evening. My name is David Pence, and I am with J. Price Architecture. Can everybody hear me okay?
Barely.
Barely. Okay. Is that any better?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Again, my name is David Pence, and I'm with J. Price Architecture. We are here this evening to present the redevelopment plan for 23rd and Swift. With me this evening, we have Star Development and our architectural and engineering teams. Joining us from Star is Robert De La Puente, along with Kurt Peterson from Pulcinelli Group. The design team consists of J. Price Architecture, myself, Kurt Tieneman, and Greg Van. Civil engineering, we have Sean Cessna, civil engineering is Walter P. Moore. With Walter P., we have Sean Cessna and Daniel Sneed. And then we also have Lorax Design Group as the landscape architect for the project. Before we begin, we would like to thank you for your time this evening. As we also want to thank Sarah and her staff, along with all of the various departments, for all their generous feedback over the last several months. This process has been very interactive between North Kansas City and our architectural and engineering teams, and the end result is a product which we're proud to share with you and the North Kansas City community. As most of you know, in late 2019, North Kansas City sent out an RFP to qualified candidates to redevelop the city-owned property at 23rd and Swift. From that process, North Kansas City selected Star Development to redevelop the subject property. The site was also originally included in the 1996 Comprehensive Plan, as well as the 2016 City Master Plan, which identifies the site as a zoned R4 mixed density neighborhood. From there, I'd like to pass it over to Kurt Tieneman for the presentation of the project. Is there any way we can share some documents so that we have the ability to go ahead and scroll through as we're presenting the projects in case anybody has any questions?
Kim has the project documents if you'd like her to show those now.
Is there any way that I can share my screen?
If you want to go ahead and try, I've enabled you to do so.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
No,
It's not coming up yet, Kurt.
Yeah, it says I'm sharing.
This could be a dual monitor issue. I do have the TIF Commission packet that has several of your renderings up and ready to share, should you not be able to share your screen.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Kurt Tieneman. I'm with J. Price Architects. Good evening. I too want to thank Sarah in North Kansas City for all of their assistance on this project. This evening, I just want to spend a few minutes of your time presenting the overall design for the 23rd and Swift project. For our part, we carefully reviewed the Northgate TIF exhibit, primarily the exhibit number 9 architectural design review guidelines, and all other city requirements as the basis of design for this project. Currently, the project subject site is a vacant 6-acre site on the south edge of the Northgate development. For our design, can you share the floor plan that shows the amenity space in the garage?
I am going to walk through the agenda packet. I am sharing my screen, so I'm hoping you can see that as well. Please just give me audio cues of if you would like me to go forwards or backwards.
Okay. I apologize. I'm trying to get the Zoom call back up on my screen.
Kurt, basically, it's a perspective rendering at the moment. I think you could go ahead and run through with your presentation, and it'll be fairly self-explanatory. And then as we run through after this, we would be able to then, I think, go back and answer any questions.
Yeah, the overall design for this property is a 4-story mixed-use market rate property. The floor plan area consists of 88,000 square foot per floor, and has a total of 294 units. The unit mix is roughly 70% 1-bedroom and 30% 2-bedrooms. Also included in this development is a 36,000 square foot exterior amenity space for the residents. Included in this amenity space is a 1,400 square foot pool, cabanas, grill stations, soft seating, multi-purpose sport court, large open grass area, and a children's area. Also included in this development is a 414 secured on-site parking spaces. This includes 352 spaces in a 3-story parking structure along 25th Street and 62 surface parking spaces within the site security. In this exhibit, can you show the material board that we provided, which
That's page 8 of the PDF, Kim. Maybe one more. Sorry, page 8 of the PDF, if it was just the attachment, one more. Right there, thank you.
Thank you so much. In this exhibit, we're showing the materiality selected for the building. The building has a 50-foot vertical dimension and incorporates a flat roof. The entire building will have vertical parapets that will shield any sight lines to any rooftop equipment that we have. The building's facade consists of varying levels of fenestration to provide visual interest, along with providing unique opportunities to incorporate balconies that you can see on this rendering. The facade material that we're introducing includes a mixture of masonry face brick, 3 colors of stucco, and 2 colors of cementitious panels, as shown on the bottom of this board. All of the materials are in a neutral color palette. And then we have various views, perspective views, if you want to slide through some of those views that we provided. I think it's going up. There you go. Yeah, that's perfect. This particular view is an entrance to the building. We have 3 of them located on the north, south, and west side of the building. The view right below that, this view is showing a connection between the 3-story parking structure in our development with a pedestrian bridge. And then I think there's one more view of the front showing the entry. One more up, please. There you go. Perfect. Thank you so much. This view is the main entry off of 23rd Street. This is where our leasing office will be, along with our interior amenity space. But this gives you a pretty good idea of what the totality of the project will look like. In addition to this, we've also included a site plan. And on this site plan, it shows perimeter parking on 3 sides of the building. That would be the north side, the west side, and the south side. There should be one more sheet that shows more of the civil drawing.
The full civil plan is on page 54, Kim. Sorry, 55.
Oh, thank you so much. So again, we have angled perimeter parking around 3 sides of the building, north, south, and west. We have parallel parking along Swift on the east side. We've also incorporated bike lanes along Swift and 23rd Street. In addition to this, we have a full site lighting plan and landscape plan that's incorporated into this package. All of these items have been reviewed and vetted by staff and the various engineering departments for their approval. We've worked with staff over the last 8 or 9 months to get to this point, and we're very excited to bring it to North Kansas City and the community. This concludes our presentation, and we're available to address any questions or concerns. Thank you so much.
Any questions at this time from my fellow commissioners? Jay, go ahead.
Hey, I think I've made it clear in past meetings that although this may not be the absolute best thing that I would have liked to have seen on this plot of land, it is strikingly attractive. I think that you guys have designed something that fits the character of that piece of our town. I think you put the pretty stuff on the sides that need to be pretty and the less pretty stuff on the sides that can stand to not be so pretty. I love the fact that it's just street, sidewalk, and 4 stories of building. I think it gives it a good urban feel. The variety of fabrics that build it, I forget the term you used, the relief back and forth. I think it will be a great addition, not to mention a whole new slew of residents there that can help support our businesses here is certainly a great thing. I'm certainly no emergency manager, but I noticed that, and this is just a question I have, because I don't know. I noticed that in order to get to the parking structure, you have to drive through the parking lot. And the parking lot only has 3 entrances. And for police and fire, maybe there's somebody here from there that can answer this for me, but it seems like if we have to evacuate or anything, is that a problem? I don't know if it is or not. I just noticed that.
Sean, is that something you could address from the civil perspective in your conversations with fire and emergency services?
Yeah, so the 3 entryways that are entering into the site, they'll be gated, but they do have a knockbox that'll be accessible to the fire or emergency vehicle that needs to enter the site. So from that perspective, the emergency services have vetted that out, and that's the way we're moving forward with.
I do also believe there is an emergency path of egress for fire apparatus all the way around the building. So there is the ability for the fire apparatus to drive into the site and around the parking garage without being encumbered.
Yeah, and Jay, that the level of pedestrian connection from the garage to the building enters on our 3rd floor, and that is to provide the necessary height for a fire truck to go underneath that pedestrian bridge.
Right.
And so somebody at the fire department has looked at these plans and said, yeah, we think this works for us.
That's correct.
These plans are reviewed by the fire marshal. So we have not finished doing site plan review, but he has looked at the entrances and at the pedestrian bridge and has given his approval to those.
Right.
Any other?
Thank you, guys.
One quick comment. I completely agree with Jay. I think stylistic preferences, vary considerably, but I think it fits in with the multifamily stock in that part of town. I agree that the nice parts of the building front the streets you'd want them to front, like Swift. One thing I'd wanted to clarify, I know trees are often used liberally in renderings. Will there be a lot of trees planted as part of this, number one? And number two, and Sarah, you may have some additional context here. I think it would be helpful to create some not bike infrastructure, but things like bike parking spaces and locks and docks for people to promote some additional kind of transportation besides vehicles. So didn't see anything like that in any of the renderings, but didn't know if that's being considered just to allow residents to take part, to leverage, some of the facilities we have here in town already.
That's not part of the design guidelines, but it is something that's required by the zoning ordinance. I'd be happy to address that when we get to the staff report.
Perfect, great, no problem.
I also really love the way the facade is on this, and I think it kind of lends itself well from modern to the next phase, which is also modern, to the next phase where the 55 plus live. My dog's going to be really sad when there's buildings there because we walk there all the time. But I think it's going to be a wonderful addition, and I think it's been very well thought out. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments from my commissioners? Hearing none, on to item number 3. Which is a resolution 2021-1, consideration thereof.
Mr. Chairman, can I give the staff report at this point?
Oh, yes, you may. Go right ahead.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to run through the staff review of the submitted plans against the design guidelines for this area, and that feeds into the resolution that's before you tonight. In general, I would say we find that these plans comply with the design guidelines very well. The staff report that you have before you gives you an overview of the various requirements of Section 3, which is for residential development in Northgate Village, as well as Section 5, which is about community design. I want to draw your attention to just a few things here in the staff report. And the first is in Section 3A regarding materials. I think you've already taken a look at the material board that's on page 20 of the packet for tonight. I would note that fiber cement, which is one of the materials that is being used in the facade of the main building, is not listed as an approved material in the design guidelines, but has been previously approved by the TIF Commission for use in the Gardens senior apartments. And I would also note that the parking garage is shown being constructed of concrete. This is also not a material that's listed for residential development, but is approved in the design guidelines for commercial development in Northgate Village. So staff does not have a concern about the use of concrete as a material here, but I wouldn't wanted to draw both of those to your attention because they are specifically listed then in the resolution for your approval as you are approving these materials for use on this development because they're not listed in the design guidelines. If you then, I would agree with some of the other comments that there's been a lot of concern in this design about fenestration and change of plane and making sure that there's lots of visual interest in the building, which is something that's really called for throughout the design guidelines, making sure that the buildings are attractive and well designed and are going to fit into the community in general. I wanted to draw your attention also to section 3G about porches and patios. The design guidelines do require balconies or patio space to be provided for all multifamily units. And I would note here that this design provides balconies for most of the units in this development, but not all of them. There are 24 units shown that do not have balconies. So again, in the resolution approving this design, if you're going to adopt that resolution, it does approve the lack of balcony for the 24 units that do not have balconies as shown in this development. Other than that, the balcony sizes do comply with the requirements of the design guidelines. And then further down, talking about community design, the last few sheets of the attachment in your package show the lighting being used in this area. The lighting shows a 20-foot pole within the parking lot and a 16-foot pole being used on the perimeter of the block that is a decorative light. The 16-foot pole is the decorative light that's used in other parts of Northgate Village, which is also a 16-foot pole, but the design guidelines call for that pole to be 12 feet in height and a maximum of 16 feet in parking lots. So we would ask you to approve the deviation in the height since that is specified in the design guidelines, and the developer, we would like those lights to be similar in height to the rest of the area, and they would like the 20-foot pole in the parking lot for better coverage. So that's another item that's specifically listed in the resolution. And then to address the question about bikes and bike parking, actually, if you look at the site plan, which is on page 55, I believe, of your packet tonight, there are bike racks shown in the parking garage, and also there are some bike racks shown near the north entrance into the building. It's required by the zoning ordinance, but not addressed in the design guidelines. So it's not specifically addressed in the packet for tonight, but they are providing enough bike parking to meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. This is, they're kind of tucked away in some corners, the exterior parking, and then they're planning to allow parking on the balconies for the units that have balconies. So that's how that's being addressed. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about the staff report, but otherwise the resolution that's before you tonight addresses those three items about the materials, the balconies, and the lighting pole heights as part of your approval of the design tonight.
Any questions from Sarah? Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, can we hear from Mr. Thinneman about his deviation from the design guidelines and why and the issue there?
The deviation specifically toward the cementitious product, or?
She said the cement fiberboard, the height difference in the lights, the things that she just mentioned.
Regarding the cementitious product, we did have conversations with Sarah about this. And again, she mentioned that was a product that has previously been approved. We're using it in a fairly small area. On the renderings, if you notice, it's a Nichiha cementitious product. It's more of an accent piece around the development. So that's why we move forward with it, primarily based on the fact that she said it was approved on previous projects within this development. Sean, can you address the light pole concern and the height regarding that, or Sean or Daniel?
Yeah, the light poles, the adjustment on the height, we're trying to space those a little bit further apart, is why they were a little higher, at least along the decorative ones around the street. And as well as in the parking lot, we made those a little higher because we wanted to cascade some more light and keep the poles less frequent within the site. So we didn't want to have as many poles sporadically throughout the site. So we're trying to minimize some of the pole locations and not have so many of those poles throughout. So.
Does that mean there would be less light actually thrown? I mean, it seems to me that if we're having fewer lights, that there's less illumination while it's being spread more broadly. How does that affect the overall lighting, and how much consideration is there to these lights at this height intruding on some of the other residences around? They're doing essentially what would amount to light pollution.
So the luminaires is the same, but the spacing is different because of the height, if that makes sense. The footprints are the same, but the way they're cascaded, but they're spaced further apart because they're taller. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
So you're saying this, it's not going to be more intrusive. It's just,
right.
I'm
it's
sorry,
just we're trying to minimize the pole numbers, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And the poles are directed into the parking lot, so they're not throwing light off of the property onto neighboring property.
And Jay,
that helps to know.
Jay, the other item regarding the balconies on the development, we have, with our experience, we've discovered that there are a certain number of a population that just doesn't want a balcony. They'd rather have that space integrated into their unit. And that's what we have. It's a very small percentage. And all of those units are actually facing the north side or the garage side of the development.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Hearing no motions?
Yeah, I'll move. I'm trying to get it.
Oh, second.
Move the approval of resolution 2021-1.
Thank you, sir. And there is a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All say yes, motion passes. I guess on to number 4, which is the public comments. Is that over to you, Kim?
It sure is, sir. If there is anybody that would like to make any public comments, if you could use the raise hand feature in Zoom or *9 on your phone, should you be calling in. Mr. Farr, at this time, there is no one showing that they would like to speak to the TIF Commission.
Thank you, ma'am. On to item 5, which is staff comments.
Oh, Mr. Farr, I'm so sorry. Somebody just popped their hand up. I'm so sorry. I just saw it.
You're fine. Go ahead.
The visitor that would like to speak, first name Elise, I'm going to unmute you. If you could please give your full title, your full name before you address the commission.
Hi, my name is Elise Carlson, and I am a homeowner here in the area. My question is, with the increased number of units in this new proposed design, how does that impact the number of units that will receive affordable housing consideration?
So I'm going to jump in here and ask if Robert or Kurt might be able to address that question.
So I don't know if that is. Kurt, are you available?
Yeah, I'm available. I will tell you that.
No, Kurt, Peterson.
Yeah,
right.
I'm Peterson.
Thank you.
Yes, hey everybody. Tell us a little bit more about, can the questioner please maybe give us a little bit more on the question, meaning are you asking about the rents that would be offered for units in this project, or I won't speculate. If you maybe just give us a little bit more, please.
You've increased the number of units for this new design, yes?
Right, there'll be more units in the area, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Yep.
How many more affordable housing units will be included then?
So Robert, I think the question, this is for, Robert, anybody on the design team, are we planning anything that's not purely a market rate that is set based on the market at the time from year to year in this project is the question. I believe the answer is no, but you can confirm that, Robert.
We've not discussed that internally, no. But currently the plan is for all market rate units.
Right, that's my understanding as well.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, but I hope that discussion is had and that we will return to it at a later date. I'd like to know how many units were increased between this design and the previous design.
So is Elise talking about the difference between the Rainin design and the current design, do you think?
I think that must be, this is Kurt Peterson again, I'm sorry for the record. I think that must be the case because it's interesting. For a moment, I thought maybe Ms. Elise there might have had x-ray vision because like with any project, we had fluctuated as we tried to make the economics work, and staff was privy to pretty much all of this because there's obviously expensive structured parking and all that. So I have to think that you are right, that the question is based on what the historical, what was there before, or that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And frankly, I don't know, maybe the city would be in a better position to talk about comparisons to, if that's, anybody finds that worthwhile in terms of discussing, because I don't think that's something we as a development team have focused on really. We just came in and proposed to the city in the response to the RFP what we thought would work here. So maybe we're the wrong ones to address the question now that you kind of frame it up that way.
Hi, this is Eric Berlin speaking. I'm the city administrator. So to try to answer the question, what we put out for an RFP was for a development of approximately the size that's now being proposed, 300 units. And it was always anticipated that what would be proposed would be market rate. So what's being proposed really does align with what we had put out as in our request for proposals for a new developer for this development. It's really pretty much in line with what had always been anticipated.
I'll bet though, to Elise's larger question is, does the city value low to moderate income housing? I know this unit doesn't have it. This unit has never had it. The previous design didn't have it. This just wasn't a project. It was all market rate. It always has been. But I think she would like to, I think, Elise, you can tell me if I'm speaking for you, is she would like to see this city move forward with some ideas of how we can increase low to moderate income family, given the fact that we put 300 new units of market rate.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
Again, Eric Berlin, I understand the question. So yes, we do value it, Commissioner Swearingen. We do value low to moderate income housing. And to that end, we have worked with the developers of Gallery Lofts, which are proposing to put in an apartment complex at Lynn and Armour, to really at a very substantial city subsidy in terms of land cost. and also in terms of support of low to moderate income housing tax credits through the Missouri Housing Development Commission to encourage less than market rates at that particular location. So we do support that, and we do look for ways to support that throughout the city. This particular development in Northgate, just to remind folks, you know, this has been about a 24-year project now. It began around 1996. And the senior housing there also was built using low-income housing tax credits. So we have supported in the Northgate Village development there less than market rate housing, but this particular block and this particular development with Star does not involve less than market rate.
Did this project receive subsidies?
So there is a TIF, a tax increment financing with this development, which is why the TIF Commission is meeting tonight. But that is not a subsidy to the developer. That is actually the city put forward the money to raise the previous development that had been there, which had become something of a blight on the city, and as put forward substantial money, over $30 million, to prepare it for development. And so the TIF that is on this site is used actually to repay the city for its investment to redevelop the site. So it is not a developer subsidy. It is actually to repay the city for the investment it made some 20 plus years ago.
Is there more information available regarding the standards for this TIF and other considerations for future proposals that I can evaluate online?
I'm sorry, I'm not, we each—
like to review the standards that are the guidelines for such offsetting and of costs, and for what is considered to ensure that all projects moving forward have affordable housing considerations involved.
The city does not have a specific policy regarding affordable housing and property abatement incentives. However, the one thing that you could look to would be our economic development incentive policy, which we do have posted online, or if you'd like to contact us directly, we'd be happy to provide to you. But to answer your question, we do not at this moment have any specific policy regarding affordable housing, but we have support, and I may be mistaken about this. I probably need to go review our own policy, but we have, you know, as indicated with regard to gallery lofts, been supportive of that in the past, and would look to for other opportunities as they may arise in the future to support affordable housing in the city.
Sounds good. I will reach out so that way I can learn more about these policies and advocate as needed. Thank you.
Elise?
Yes.
I might also add that, you know, there are some projects that are already in the works that, you know, I'm brand new to the TIF committee, but I was on the city council before, and there were things already there. I would encourage, and I'm really excited about the fact that there's so much community involvement. I will say that that staff has made available when there's new projects coming up for community involvement. So the more you keep on top of that for new projects, and I absolutely agree with you. I do believe we need to have more affordable housing. This is not the project. I'm just going to say, you know, it's not going to change, but there are things that are becoming probably, hopefully, before community development. And the more people we can have pay attention to this, to make that part and parcel of it, there will be the opportunity for the community to weigh in on these things. So I'm really grateful that you've already weighed in tonight, and really pay attention to future projects that are coming up so that we can include the affordable housing, because I agree with you. But this is just not that particular project because it was slated for other kinds of things. I thank you though for joining in.
Sure, thank you.
Mr. Farr, I'm not seeing anybody else who would like to make a comment.
Thank you, Kim. On to item number 5 again, which would be staff comments. Sarah?
I have no other comments for you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 6, which would be commissioner comments. Any comments from my fellow commissioners?
Oh, it looks like a good project.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering now that the issue sort of came up on affordable housing units, what is the, and I don't expect that there's an answer, right off the top of anybody's head, but I would ask maybe for future reference as those things come up, what is the percentage of housing stock in North Kansas City now that would qualify as affordable housing? And further, what is the standard for a community like North Kansas City as far as what percentage is generally the standard that you would have in that category? Like I say, I don't expect an answer at this moment because it's a lot of information just to ask on the spur, but I think going forward it might be helpful to know what that is and to see also if there are some specific goals that the city would like to achieve when it comes to that. So if we're at, say, 15% of affordable stock and the city wants to go to 20 or whatever those numbers might be, having an idea of what those goals are might be helpful as we consider future projects.
We did a report on affordable housing in North Kansas City to the council probably 2 years ago now. So I'm sure that those numbers have changed a little bit since then, but we can look into updating that and providing it to you at a future point if that's of interest to the commission.
Yes.
That would answer my question. I think that would at least give me a frame of reference to work from. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments from my commissioners?
This is Paul Harrell. Again, I want to tell you that I think the project looks fantastic. I think it'll be a real addition to the city of North Kansas City. Again, from the North Kansas City School District perspective, we're just always concerned about when projects such as this come up, how many students might actually live in these types of areas and the impact that it might be on our school system. So again, we're certainly support the progress, support the project, but at the same time want to be mindful about the impact to the North Kansas City School District because there are tax incentives on this particular project.
Thank you.
Sarah? I have a question. Sarah, when you do the report on the affordable housing percentages and things, I don't know how you figured that out, but when you do it, if we're comparing apples and apples like other city, I don't know what's taken into consideration, but as someone who is kind of a lay person, it would be really good to explain how one comes to those figures. I know when I was on the council and even now, there's some things that are put out there that frankly, I just don't really understand the numbers. And I think if you can make it as simple as possible, because this is a huge issue in our city, what that looks like and why it looks like and how you come to those figures so everyone can understand that's interested, that would be really helpful to me. And you may already do that. I don't know. I don't know how one figures that out. I'm just saying, I don't know. But if there's a way to make it in simple language, I think that would be really helpful moving forward.
Yes, I understand.
Thank you.
And item number 7, which is any other business anybody can think of.
Oh, Commissioner Fritz, I saw that you were trying to use the raise hand feature. Did you want to speak?
Yes, that would be wonderful if I could. I just, as a point of business, and maybe this is the other business, or maybe this is just commissioner comments, but what I would like to see when we have these meetings is since it is the Tax Increment Financing Commission, I think we should see some sort of a financial report where we stand with all of the TIFs in North Kansas. Time or at least annually in these meetings to see how much and where we're going with with the amount of incentives that we're offering. I would also like to see every time we introduce a project like this to just review what this project in particular is getting from the commission, so that everybody is reminded, because these aren't everyday meetings. These aren't people that deal with these types of things on a daily basis. So I think it'd be good to have that consistent format within our meetings to show, this is the financial report, this is the information contained in this particular project that we're reviewing tonight, and a review as we go through each one of these. So that's just my comments for us as we move forward in these meetings.
If there is no other comments or questions from my commissioners, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody say nay? Motion carries. Thank you very much for spending the evening with us.
Good night.
Be safe, everyone.
You too. Thank you.